Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans. So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Primetime Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Scott Alexander, and this show, well, it's going to be a little different than some of the others. Yeah, we're still bringing in legendary coaches or players. In this case, it's Tommy Clapp. That's right, the great defensive lineman at LSU from 1984 to 87 when the Tigers won an incredible 36-6-3 in the regular season during his 4 years there. And by the way, he's also the father of LSU's current star offensive lineman, Will Clapp. But more about him in a second. Hey, every year, if you remember last year around this time, we bring in high school state championship coaches. That's what makes this show a little different and special. And some of their players as well. Right after they win their state titles, we kind of bring them in right after, so it's fresh. Last year, you might remember, it was Landry Walker head coach, Emmanuel Powell, and his great team, and also his star quarterback, Keaton Thompson. You might remember him. He's at Mississippi State. We also brought in Carr head coach Bryce Brown and his great quarterback. Well, this year, we have a couple great young coaches from Baton Rouge. We went up the river. We have U-High's Chad Mahaffey, that's right, University High School in Baton Rouge. He won his second state title in less than 4 years, and this guy is under 40 years old. And he is bringing his quarterback, John Gordon McKernan. I cannot wait for John Gordon McKernan to get up here. He is a great quarterback for that team. And we also have the head coach of Catholic High. That's right, we have Coach Gabe Fertitta, who shocked the world by beating St. Aug, Evangel Christian, and John Curtis in successive games en route to their state title. And speaking of championships, I got to give credit to all of them. Zachary, they won the 5A title. Carr, Edna Carr once again takes 4A, and we just mentioned Catholic and U-High winning Divisions 1 and 2. How about West Feliciana? They were the 3A winner. And Welsh High School over there in West Louisiana, they were the 2A winner. And powerful Catholic High School of New Iberia, they romped through Division III, and West St. John and Lafayette Christian captured the lower classifications. And speaking of Will Clapp, Tommy's son, we just mentioned him. Well, he garnered first-team All-SEC honors for the second year in a row, as did Arden Key, and Devin White and Greedy Williams also got first team for the first time. Hey, by the way, Darius Geis and DJ Shark, they captured second-team honors. Hey, you might remember Thursday night. It seems like a long time ago, but the Saints, they lost a tough home game, or road game, I should say, Thursday night to the Atlanta Falcons for the second straight year. It was a New Orleans boy, Debo Jones from Jesuit and LSU, who made the key interception of the game, which sealed the win for the Falcons. And by the way, you New Orleans Pelicans, they set a franchise record for three-pointers last night, but they still lost. It was an entertaining game. They lost 130-123. But they did beat former LSU star Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers the night before. We've got a great show for you. Stay tuned. It's Primetime Sports coming right up.
The love of my life is a shady lady. Turned me up just to bring me down. Used to be calm, but now she's crazy. I don't mind. She's not the love of my life anymore. Yup. Ha ha. I like this guitar.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports, and as always, I want to thank the music we always have rolling through here. That was Fred LeBlanc from Cowboy Mouth. We got a few others coming down the line, but hey, last year, do you remember during the state championships, we had a couple of the state-winning coaches and quarterbacks come in? Yeah, we had Landry Walker's Emmanuel Powell. He brought his great quarterback, Keaton Thompson, who's now at Mississippi State, and of course, Carr, who always seems to be here. Bryce Brown brought his quarterback, who's now at Arkansas State. Well, this year I decided to go different. We're going up the river to Baton Rouge. We took, instead of a couple of public schools, we went to a couple private and Catholic schools we're going to show today. And one of them, I actually had the honor of calling their game for WWL. It's U High. It's University High School. They got the big championship over De La Salle this weekend. 2 undefeated teams. That's the only state title game that had both teams undefeated, and only one of 2 games that had the number 1 versus 2. I had the head coach, Chad Mahaffey, who, by the way, won his 2nd state championship. He's had 4 undefeated regular seasons in just 8 seasons of coaching at U High, and he's been to 3 state final championship games and won 2 of them. And he also brought his quarterback, John Gordon McKernan, and we're going to get to him in a second. But first of all, Coach, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. I mean, I know this isn't the first thing for you, but after you've won it the first time, I have to ask you, what's it like the second time?
Well, I think each year, is really it's kind of a unique challenge. You have your players, your coaches, all that's got to gel together. I think that we knew coming in the season that we had some talented players, and we were hopeful. We have a good season, but I think it's really always interesting to see just how they become a team,
right,
and how that they go about their business day in and day out, and also a big part of success this year was we were fortunate to stay very healthy, and so that didn't really happen last year, but we were able to stay healthy this year, and it worked out great for us.
Well, it's interesting because before your game, I'm going through the list of players on both teams, and they're a bunch of studs. I talked to you and obviously the coach of De La Salle, Ryan Manali, but it's not just that, it's the teams you beat to get there. I mean, obviously you have your great district that you play in, but I mean, you beat the state champion in 5A, Zachary. You guys knocked out Catholic High, who won in Division I, and De La Salle also beat Carr, who was the 4A championship. Going into a game like that, what kind of confidence does it give you knowing, hey, these other teams in the state finals, we actually beat this year on the way to an undefeated season. Going into the championship, that help you at all?
Yeah, I think our players were confident. I'm really proud of the way in those big games that you had referenced that I thought our kids came ready to play. And, sometimes you can be a little unsure when you get in those big games, but I thought those were some of our best performances. And so that gives you a lot of confidence as a coach. And the only thing to do is to go out there and play the way you played in those opportunities.
John Gordon, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
I've got the pleasure of knowing your dad since our college years, playing a lot of hoops together. He actually played a little freshman ball at LSU and basketball. You have 2 grandfathers that are athletes. One of them played basketball at LSU, Jerry McKernan, and obviously the other one was a quarterback at LSU, Jimmy Field. Knowing that you had that kind of lineage growing up, did you have any other choice but to be an athlete?
I mean, I definitely had a choice, but it was definitely in my genes to growing up playing sports, mainly playing golf, but eventually translated into, basketball, soccer, and then football. But definitely had some impact because they were always, wanting to come see my games, always pushed me to be better. But
Golf's such an individual sport, great sport, as is tennis, but then you got into soccer and basketball and eventually football. What to you, what's the difference between playing team sports when you're playing for others as well as opposed to playing for yourself in individual sport?
Well, definitely you have a bond with someone else. Golf, you go out there and practice every day by yourself, hours and hours. It's just it's mental all the time. In football, you can rely on others. If you're not there mentally, they can bring you up, or you can do, or vice versa. So really, that's the big difference between the two.
I'm going to ask you a dual question here. First, I'm going to start with you because I know you didn't get into football till late. I mean, a lot of us start playing, we're 3, 4, 5, maybe even playing bitty leagues when we're 7, 8 years old. You didn't start playing football till 8th grade. First of all, why was that? And secondly, what made you get into it?
Well, initially, I wanted to play football in 6th grade, but my mom said no way. And
that's what moms do.
Yeah, and so I had 2 more years playing basketball and soccer. Eventually, quit golf, quit soccer, because you can't play soccer and basketball at the same time. And
wow, okay.
My mom, 8th grade, I guess she just let me, you can go play.
Your dad played quarterback at U High, right? And there he is right there. Gordon, if you don't recognize him there, you see his billboards all around the interstate.
Yeah, he played growing up in middle school and then a little bit in high school, and he came back like his senior year to play, but he didn't play quarterback his senior year.
Okay. Well, now the next question is kind of leading into what he just said. When did you know that he might be your quarterback of the future?
Well, I think that, like you say, you'd seen John Gordon and knew he was a good athlete, but just hadn't been out there to play football. And so when he had the opportunity to come out in 8th grade, I thought he had a really good season, especially for, literally the first time throwing a ball, doing any of those things. And, I think he's worked really hard to get better, worked really hard to understand the game. And I think the more experience he gets, the better he's going to be. So I think he's shown promise of that early and really had worked himself into a starting position as a sophomore, and unfortunately got an injury, early in the season, but was able to come back and play really well at the end of the year. And this year, fortunate to stay healthy and had a very good junior year.
Yeah, a lot of your players had very good junior years. I mean, I'm looking up and down the lineup, and it's like this whole team seems to be coming back. I mean, I know a lot of the skill position players, the great running back Mike Collins had, I think, 33-plus touchdowns this year. And I know going into the game, he had 1,700 yards from scrimmage, and he had a whole bunch more. Christian Harris, the great wide receiver. Micaiah Tunk, another great wide receiver. Great lineman. This team is kind of built for the future. How exciting is that?
Well, it's great. I mean, I think the thing you'll be able to rely on that maybe you couldn't this year was, okay, these guys have been here, played together, they have that experience. If you're fortunate enough to have a good playoff run and able to get back to the championship, again, most of those guys have been out there. I think the challenge when you have guys coming back is, do they get complacent? Do they think that, we're automatically going to show up again next year because we've kind of lived that at U-High. We've had teams coming off that 14 championship where a lot of returning starters coming back, and we didn't make it. And so, that's something each team really has to kind of decide for themselves, what kind of work ethic they're going to have, how close of a team are they going to be, and so we'll look forward to working on that when we get back to school in January.
You're the leader. What kind of team will you have? You're the guy that's going to be the glue to put them together. I'm not saying it's completely up to you because football is such a great team sport, but how do you think it's going to be next season now that you've won one and you've already been there? The hunger might not be as evident as before.
Well, I definitely think we'll still be hungry because that feel. I don't think we're ever going to want to lose that feeling of them calling our name to run out there and get that trophy. And I know everyone coming back out they're going to be working hard and they're going to be ready they want that feeling again. So we'll be hungry.
I want to talk about Hollins because he's a special kind of player. I hadn't gotten to see him till the game, and obviously both teams were feeling each other out, but the defenses were very strong in the beginning. But when he got loose, I could see why he was so special. In your eyes as a quarterback and your best friend, what makes him such a special football player?
I just think it's his mentality going into the game and every play. He's just a workhorse. Whatever you ask him to do, he'll always be like, "Look, I'm gonna block for you right here. I'm gonna get this block right here." When the line's not doing well, he'll pick them up, and he's always just running as hard as he can. And I think it's just really his mentality going into each and every play.
I have to ask you a question because sometimes this is where stats can be misleading because quarterbacks, obviously, when they get sacked, it takes away from their rushing yards. And I don't know how much you rushed during the season. However, when you got loose for that touchdown, I was like, this guy's got some wheels, and you had some moxie to get in. Y'all had recovered a fumble inside the 5, but it looked like you might have been about to be hit for a sack, and it was going to be, 3rd and goal or from long, and you end up right there. There's the play. You ended up sneaking your way in the end zone. Pretty nimble. I didn't know he had that in him.
I don't know if anyone knows he has that in him. We joked after the game that I don't think anybody considers John Gordon a running quarterback except himself. So, but
that was Aaron Rodgers right there, though.
It was a big play for us in a big spot, and I believe it kind of got the lead back for us. And our team needed that, and finally got the film uploaded over the weekend and going back and look. And the thing that I really saw as a coach was you saw how excited the other players got when that happened, and that tells you, A, it was a big moment, but B, I think they were excited and maybe a little surprised by him, but they were pumped up for him, and you could see the teammates respond on film.
It was exciting. It really was, and it was a huge part of this game. I mean, this is one of those games, and De La Salle creeped their way up. I think that put them up 17-7. De La Salle creeped their way back, got a field goal for the half, made it 17-10, then another field goal to open up the second half. They ran the ball down the field, and you held them to 3, which I thought was huge, 17-13, with about a minute 45 to go in the third. And all of a sudden, the gates just flew wide open. I mean, it was unbelievable. Talk about that run and the run of emotion you guys had. You had Mike Martin's punt return, which was huge. I thought that was the backbreaker. But just all along the line, You had to feel good about that.
Yeah, it definitely is. When you start getting a rhythm like that and hitting big explosive plays, you finally start, because the first quarter's shaky, and then after I ran it in, we calmed down a little bit, but then they drove down the field pretty handily right and opened up the second half, and right when you start getting those big plays, you start settling down, and you really just can focus on the next thing and your assignment on the next play. So.
Well, that's my next question. I'm going to ask you because, it was such a defensive struggle early, and I know that's not completely unusual in championship games. A lot of times defense gets you there, and it can trump offense. However, De La Salle had gotten that one big 83-yard screen pass touchdown, and all of a sudden it's 7-3. There was any doubt, I'm going to start with you, and then you creep in your mind like, oh, man, we're not able to move the ball much, and they just got this big play. This might be one of these 10-7 games. We need to get a couple points. What was your thought going into that?
I think we had a lot of respect for De La Salle and their defense, and you can look through all of their games. Their defense, that regardless of who they played, not a lot of people were having success on them. So I think one of the challenges is when you've been having success leading up, kids, it's like if you don't have 30 points at half, they're like, well, what's going on or what's the problem? But that's what a championship game is, and that's what it's supposed to be. And so I really feel that the beginning part of our schedule, where we were in some tight battles, especially early, I thought the previous 2 weeks we were in tight ball games at half, and to the kids' credit, they really didn't panic with that. And so I think they were like, okay, we're not maybe playing our best, but we're still here. We actually have a lead at half.
Right.
So if you're not playing your best and you have a lead at half, you feel like, okay, if we can start doing some things better in the second half, then it can work out. But the defensive stop that you mentioned, it looked rough. They were kind of driving right through us, and to hold them to a field goal, that was almost like a win at that point, the way they went out. Yeah.
Well, get back to the first half. After De La Salle got that 7-3 lead, you're the quarterback. Y'all used to putting up 21, 24 points in the first quarter every game, it seems. Maybe even more sometimes. And at that point, you had 3 or 7. It was 10-7. I'm getting confused. 7-3 De La Salle. What was your thought as quarterback? We have to get this thing going.
Well, you're definitely thinking, we got to get this thing going, but it's more of just trying to, you see all the fans, the bright lights, just really trying to calm everyone down. Just not trying to get rid of the butterflies, you have in the beginning of the game. That especially that first drive, you got a couple plays that almost were turnovers, so everyone was just kind of nervous, and you just got to calm everyone down. Just trying to, and the O-line really stepped up right after that first corner. They really started dominating. So that's a big
incredible win. Incredible win. I'm a big believer now. Obviously, what you've done so far is amazing. In just 8 years, 3 state championship appearances, 2 titles. 4 undefeated regular seasons, remarkable. I'm gonna just throw out a couple players' names. I want you to give me quick thing on, because Brighton Constantine just seemed to be all over the place. I could say this about 6 guys on defense, sure, but that guy flies the ball. First thoughts when I say his name.
Brighton, he's a good tackler. He's physical. I think he's really hard to block. I think he's got a knack for just either avoiding a block, getting off a block, and he was big in there. Having such a big quarterback, a powerful guy, it was going to be a challenge for our defense. And I thought our defense, for the most part, tackled tremendously and really answered
all
the
of
call.
them did. The defense was extremely impressive. Linebackers and linemen are flying to the ball, amazing. And for you, I know you have a great offensive line. A lot of first-year starters. Dylan Rathke was the only guy that was a guy that started the previous years past. But 2 Harrises I want to bring up: Christian Harris and Dorian Harris, and Micaiah Tongue. Talk about with those 3 guys. You have 3 weapons, not even counting your running back, Mike Hollins. Talk about what these guys are about.
Well, the main thing I would just say is they're athletes. Chris, he's just 6'2", 230. He can do anything really he puts his mind to. And Dorian, he really stepped up with those jet sweeps. He's lethal with those, and he's really speedy. And obviously, you saw that catch with Mackay and
Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
I had his high school coach in the booth with me, Nelson Stewart. He's like, that's Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, so really just Mackay with his hands, athleticism is. They all run tremendous routes, and they all have potential. They're not to their best yet. So they're still definitely next year. They're definitely going to step up even more.
Well, this has been an honor for me. This show is generally more about Saints and Pelicans and LSU and Tulane, but whenever I do the high school stuff. I absolutely love it, and this is a great example why. I want to thank you both. John Gordon McKernan, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
And Chad Mahaffey, I got a gift certificate for you. I don't want to get you in any trouble. I don't think I can give out prizes like that. But if you come down to New Orleans with your wife, that's a great place uptown on Maple between Carrollton and Broadway. And we're going to find a spot. Let's find a spot over here on a Saints ball. Why not? And give me a couple signatures for you guys as just a memory of being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
I appreciate you both. John Gordon, it's been a pleasure, my man. And I want to thank both these coaches and player, obviously great guys. Hey, coming up later in the show, we're going to have Gabe Fertitta. I told you we're not just ending it with one high school coach. We're going to have another one. He's coming up. Catholic High, how about the run they had? St. Aug in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? When they went to Evangel up there in Shreveport, knocked them out. And then John Curtis thought they were going to get their 27th championship. And Catholic High said, not so fast, my friend, so they got one as well. And another guy that was huge on the high school level here, and his son is now an all-SEC offensive lineman. Well, his name is Tommy Clapp. His son's name is Will Clapp. He's going to be coming up next right here. And Tommy, by the way, was a beast of a football player, not just at Brother Martin, also at LSU. I'm talking about one of the best in the business they've ever had on the defensive line. And he played a little bit in the NFL as well. He's coming up next right here on Primetime Sports.
The owners of the Delachey's Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Delachey, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Delachey, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
Fall in love with autumn with PJ's new seasonal lattes. Our pumpkin latte brings you all the flavors of a pumpkin pie with hints of cinnamon and nutmeg, like your favorite holiday dessert in a cup. And our s'mores latte with flavors of toasted marshmallows, warm milk chocolate, and graham cracker cinnamon is sure to bring back campfire memories. The PJ's Fall Seasonal Lattes, available at your local PJ's only for a limited time.
Welcome back to Primetime Sports. We're going to take a little break from the high school stuff. Don't worry, we'll get right back to it. This is a special state championship show. We do this every year after the state finals in football and basketball. But, well, the one tie-in we have is we have a great NOLA high school legend. Yes, he won't say that, but I'll say it. He played at Brother Martin, 4-year starter at LSU. And how about this? This LSU team, I said it when Sammy Martin was on, but from 84 to 87, 36-6-3 regular season. That's unbelievable. Yep, that's back when you could have ties. 16-1-1 on the road, and they didn't even lose a road game in 85, 86, or 87. Those were some good LSU teams. Quarterbacks, Jeff Wickersham at the beginning. Then it was Tommy Hodson. Great running backs. I mean, we can start off with Dalton Hilliard early on. Obviously, Gary James. It went on to Sammy Martin and many others. Just great talent across the board at LSU, and one of the big reasons was that defensive line. And one of the guys on that line was this guy right here. His name is Tommy Clapp. And welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank
Brother
you.
Martin Crusader, LSU Tiger, and all-around good guy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
And if his name sounds familiar to you, it's because, well, his son, and he should be very proud of this fact. I know he is. We're all proud of our children. He's got 4 kids, all play football. Some wrestled as well. But how about this? A finalist for the Remington Trophy. And, by the way, the second time in a row, he's an all-SEC player. You see it right there, one of the 4 LSU players this year on the first team all-SEC. I'm going to get into your career, but why not start with your son? Because that is quite an honor.
Absolutely. I think, people inside that building understand how difficult it is to be recognized at that level But to do it 2 years in a row and to do it at two different positions, I think is something that
It's remarkable.
it's
remarkable.
unbelievable, and something that, we certainly are proud of him and his effort and, the things that he was able to do this year. And I think a lot of people fail to realize how difficult it was having two young, true freshmen on that line, and the responsibility that falls to that center to make sure the calls are communicated, the guys are lining up correctly. So there's a little bit more added responsibility on him this year, and I think he handled it well.
Going through the season, you had to be dad. You've been there before. You were a redshirt freshman. LSU went from going to the Orange Bowl in '82. You came in '83. You redshirted. That team didn't have a great year.
Right.
This team started off looking like it wasn't going to have a great year. They lost. They got blown out on the road at Mississippi State, and then they lost that close game at home to Troy, and everybody was writing them off. What kind of advice as a dad do you tell your son at that point?
He's been through it before. Unfortunately, I think he's been challenged. But for that start to the season, it was really a difficult thing because they had expected so much more. So it was a setback. He exhibited some frustration. I think that's understandable. But just like everything else in life, you close ranks, you kind of only pay attention to the people inside the building.
Right.
They did that, and I tell you what, significant turnaround regardless of the type of teams they were playing and the turmoil that they were facing with coaching changes. It didn't matter. Anytime you can win out like that, say for the Alabama game, a tremendous turnaround. I think it's a credit to the kids inside that locker room and the coaching staff.
And the Alabama game, they afforded themselves nicely. I mean, come on, Alabama is outmatching everybody in the SEC and pretty much in the country for the most part. Heck, they're the fourth seed in the tournament, and they're the 2.5-point favorite over the number one seed.
Right.
So there's no shame there. But the fact is that they came back and won 6 of the last 7 games and did so quite impressively, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think, the Alabama game, I think the biggest difference over the last couple of years is we finally physically matched Alabama.
Yeah.
So we got the game up front that we were looking for, both offensively and defensively. And you know what? It was just a couple of plays. I think we can sit here and dissect the Danny Etling and Chark throws that a little underthrown, but DJ had some space and whatnot. We can point to all those things, but really the biggest thing for me was being able to physically match up with Alabama again, toe-to-toe in the trenches. I think that gap is closed, and I think we're going to look forward to next year and hopefully get over that hump.
Hey, and speaking of the Tigers and their great comeback this season, there's so many guys in this team. LSU puts out so many pro football players. They have the most in the NFL right now, and it has been that way for a few years. Your son's certainly going to be in that number one day, and I know that the teams are looking at him, and I know you get projections. What are you hearing right now?
We're going through that information gathering process. LSU hires a consulting firm that provides information. They don't actually issue grades. They just give you enough data so you can look at to make an educated decision. William has applied for the draft grade.
Yeah.
And each school's allowed major schools are allowed up to 5 draft grades. William will be one of those. We anticipate getting some data and feedback, hopefully before Christmas. And the way it works is you either get a first or second round grade by the NFL Draft Advisory Board, or they give you a come back to school grade. So it's like I told William the other night. I said, he's really focused on graduation this week,
right.
Preparation for Notre Dame. He's kind of letting me take a lead in some of this. But we had a chance to talk a little bit about it, and what a blessing it is just to be in that conversation.
No, it really is.
We're enjoying the process, and I think he would consider both going to the league if he had the right grade, being that he's been there 4 years, he's graduating.
Right.
But if he doesn't get the grade that I think lends people to say, hey, look, you should come out being first or second round, and he came back to LSU. How many guys walk through that building as 4-year starters or potentially as a chance to be a 3-year All-SEC guy if he stays healthy and plays well?
One of very few.
It's a select group, so it's a blessing.
Yeah, you have good options here. Hey, by the way, how great. You have a son that's graduating 3.5 years at LSU. Let's take the football out of it. That's quite an accomplishment.
It is, especially since it took me 5.5 in general studies.
Hey, we had a little different role back then. It was more fun for us.
You're
it was
correct.
kind of more wide open.
You're
hey,
correct.
Speaking of the son, Brother Martin is where I'm assuming all your sons went there.
Yes.
And this is the great moment when obviously he committed to LSU. Let's just start there because I was going to get to another question. But what was your feeling during this day, National Signing Day? And I'm sure it took you back several years. I mean, you did it yourself. But as a proud dad, the guy that went to your high school, as the rest of your children did, and now he's going to your college.
Was a great moment, obviously, for not only me but the entire family. My dad was such a big LSU fan when I was growing up, so to have me play there was just a dream come true for him. So my son's his namesake. He gets the chance to go through it again. So it's been a wonderful time for the whole family. But I tell you what, it wasn't always all great because the team that recruited William the hardest was Alabama.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Nick Saban really wanted William, ironically, to play center. And
there he is.
And that was when he was at LSU. But the interesting thing is that William kind of played with that for a while and would tease me and tell me roll tide as he went through that recruiting process. And finally I put my foot down one night and said I didn't appreciate that inside my house. And he said he was joking, and I said I wasn't. 2 weeks later, he committed to LSU.
Right.
So the story was great, but certainly it wasn't always LSU. He did consider other schools, but certainly the one and the one we hoped he chose won out.
It didn't hurt to have the main recruiter in the house.
Correct.
And
Correct.
putting the food on the table. What kind of sports dad are you? Because interesting, because I've seen all kinds. I've seen the kind that really get into it, and I've seen the kind that kind of sit back and chill.
I was totally removed from the process. Me and him had the discussion early on that I told him, I said, I'm kind of jaded. I'm slanted towards LSU. I played there. I understand the value of playing for your state school. I asked him to arrive at that decision on his own.
More on what you, as a fan, I'm talking about, in the stands. Or are you the hard driving, pushing dad? Are you the kind of just sit back and enjoy the game? Or are you out there just vociferous in your audience of participation?
I have been known to be very difficult to sit by, but as far as my own kid goes, it's kind of changed the nature of how I watch an LSU game. Being a player or former player was a great experience for me to go back to Tiger Stadium, to watch great teams, to understand what goes on inside that locker room. Those things were valuable. Now that my kids play in there, it's changed a little bit. I'm more nervous.
Yeah.
I am more reserved. I watch just him. I don't watch the game anymore. So it's a little bit different now that he's there. Certainly, I'm watching one player, number 64.
Let's talk about number 97, though, because you were a great player. A great player in high school. I remember you because you're my class. Different school, Catholic League, though, so I saw you plenty. Your name was always out there. You got to LSU. 4 great years of playing football at LSU. Just what do you remember most about being a player for the Tigers?
The locker room, to be honest with you. The locker room, just the friendships you make during those times. I think I still, it's interesting, we're talking about Catholic League. I go to 2 of my best friends are...
Look at Mike Golick up there.
Yeah. 2 of my best friends are guys, actually 3 of my best friends are guys that I played with or played against, which was Mike Cobb, played for De La Salle.
I knew Mike very well.
Nicky Hazard and Johnny Hazard both played at Jesuit.
Those guys very well.
George Henriquez, who played with me at Brother Martin. So we had an interesting clique of Catholic League guys that were up there. We crossed those battle lines of the Catholic League and actually have maintained some pretty strong friendships to this day.
You mentioned those first 3 I know very well. I mean,
Right.
I used to, from different facets, I used to bartend with a couple of them. And Mike Cobb and I go back to Little League.
Right.
That dude was 6 foot as a 11-year-old. I played second base. It was hard to throw over Mike Cobb.
Me and him work together right now.
It worked.
So we work for the same company.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
do.
Tell him I said
Absolutely.
hi.
I will.
But the player memories. I mean, you had 2 quarterbacks. I know you were on the defensive side of the ball, which is interesting because your son plays offense, and I'm sure you both played both ways. But in high school, I imagine. But you had a couple of great quarterbacks. Jeff Wickersham, when he left, he was LSU's all-time leading passer, and then he gets replaced by a guy, Tommy Hodson, who's still LSU's all-time leading passer. He passed
Right.
Wickersham and has kept it. That had to make you feel pretty good on the defense side of the ball, knowing that these guys could put points on the board.
Great talent at quarterback. I think Jeff probably goes down as one of the more underappreciated, productive quarterbacks.
Thank you.
At LSU and the SEC, was a fantastic talent. Great athlete. By the way, his daughter's committed to LSU as a softball player. So it's still in the genes. Yeah,
Nice.
she committed as a freshman.
Wow.
So she's a tremendous player. I think she's a senior now.
Congrats.
Then, of course, Tommy Hodson. We always laughed because Tommy was they didn't realize who was going to be the starting quarterback until that very week. The interesting thing that people don't remember, quarterback from my class that signed was Stan Humphries. And Stan Humphries didn't make it at LSU.
Right.
He wound up going, I think it was Northwestern, where they won a national championship. Had a great career, Northeastern.
Yeah.
And but a lot of us wondered. Tommy's career was undeniable success, but who knows what would have happened had Stan not flunked out of LSU and gone to pursue other.
My first class was with Stan Humphries. It was Speech 101. We're all in that same class at LSU, ironically. Speech 101. I remember Stan, he was like, his speech was how to throw a football.
Right.
I was like, all right, true story. Mine was how to serve a tennis
Or play
ball.
cards at night.
Yeah, right. Or play cards. I should have done that one too. Hey, by the way, you had Bill Arnsparger. Legendary coach. I mean, obviously he coached the no-name defense with the Miami Dolphins. Killer Bees, excuse me. No name was a different team. But the Killer Bees, obviously with the Dolphins, great coach. And he came to LSU and for 3 years had unparalleled success.
He did. The old man was something special. You either, inside the building, you either loved him or hated him.
Right.
The interesting thing is when Nick Saban was at LSU, those two were kindred spirits. Arnsparger and Saban would go in that office and meet for hours on end. But
really?
I enjoyed my relationship with Bill. He was a pro guy. He treated us a lot differently. My first year was Jerry Stovall. I spent 3 with Bill Arnsparger. Then, of course, my last year was Mike Archer's first.
Yep.
I had the same position coach for all 3. So I had a pretty good sampling of head coaches. And, Bill was the quintessential NFL guy. He treated you like a man unless you gave him a reason not to. And we really respected that. And I think the school really was at a loss when he left over that power struggle with Broadhead.
Yeah, that was terrible. And I had Pete Jenkins on last week. Pete's a special guy, a little bit different back in that gruff era back there to where he is now, the big lovable teddy bear. But talk about coaching under that future legend.
I played, like I said, 5 years at LSU under Pete. When I first got there, he was, more like a Marine drill instructor, break you down, and to the point where I didn't know if I was going to get built up. And he did. He took the time, and certainly once you became one of his guys, it was certainly a great relationship. Pete now has a tremendous relationship with my own son, being that he's been back at LSU this year. They have fostered a great relationship, and how I look at Pete Jenkins as one of the handful of 3 or 4 people in my life that has truly impacted me from that standpoint, and to have my son now have that same type of relationship, because him and Pete will go off to the side after practice and he'll tell a few. He still calls William Tommy, and I think that's just.
That's it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's some similarities.
But I love it.
There.
I think it's been a great blessing for us as a family to have Pete have that level of influence on my son also.
And by the way, when I said Mike Golick, that was pointing to the picture. That was Tommy Clapp, by the way, and it is an honor for me to have you on. Tommy Clapp, truly one of the legends, whether you say it yourself or not. I'm going to say it. No, that era of LSU football was special. Everybody knows the golden era from 2000 till now, pretty much. But that night, it was short. But 84 to 87, your 4 years playing, it doesn't get any better than that. Maybe you could have won a couple more bowl games, but we're not going to hold that against you.
Right.
36-6-3 speaks for itself. I've got a great gift certificate right here. It's a restaurant uptown. You take your lovely wife. It's called Shays de la Shays, right there on Maple Street, uptown between Carrollton and Broadway. And, not far from that school that wears the dark green and light blue.
That's okay.
That's the Tulane Green Wave. I'm a Wave fan myself. I had the helmet out here earlier. But here, this one's got very few balls. You see these balls are just inundated with ink.
Yep.
Yeah, this one has a few less. Of course, Les Miles signed it really big. But we got a few others. Sammy Martin, Craig Stelz, and Rohan Davey right there. So, yeah,
right.
Tommy Clapp.
I'm going right by Sammy Martin.
Right there. You said that's your favorite player at LSU. Hey, Sammy, what a great guy. He's going to love to hear that. Sammy, Tommy Clapp loves you. Who doesn't love Sammy, though? Sammy's great. And I enjoyed having him on. By the way, we're not done with our high school stuff because I have another state championship coach. Man, they pulled a surprise. I don't think it surprised anybody at Catholic High, but I think around the state, people were surprised. They beat St. Aug. Then they beat Evangel Christian Academy. Then they beat John Curtis. My goodness, that's the gauntlet, and they won the state title. I'll have Gabe Fertitta, the head coach of the Catholic Bears, coming up next on Primetime Sports. Welcome back to Primetime Sports, and it's always a good day when I can hear E.T. from the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. And it's always a good day when I can talk to a state championship coach just about 72 hours after they've won a state title, and that's what happened with the Catholic Bears. I mean, it was unbelievable. Their run, they had to go through St. Aug, the perennial power. Then you have to go through Evangel, who I think might be the favorite in the Division I championship rounds, and then for the third round, which is the championship, you go John Curtis, who, by the way, has won 26 titles. I think Evangel has 14 titles, and St. Aug's got double-digit titles themselves. Welcome to the show, head coach Gabe Fertitta.
Appreciate it.
You kind of had to go through the gauntlet, my friend.
We did. We did. It was, I mean, in that Division I playoffs, I mean, it doesn't matter who you draw. You're probably going to get somebody that's really good. So, yeah, it was.
Well,
it
the
was
whole
tough.
Catholic League, you played the Catholic League yourself. You know how good it is. You played at Holy Cross, New Orleans guy, ended up going to Mississippi College, playing some ball there, coached along the line. But you know what it's like, and all those teams are in competition to win this thing.
No doubt. Yeah, I told our kids when Shaw has had kind of a rough year, but I told them when we got ready to play them, hey, look, I've never beaten these guys. When I was in high school, they were as
great.
dominant as can be. So we beat them, and then we go to play St. Aug, and I said, hey, guys, look, I've never won against these guys before.
Not many have, actually.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's a gauntlet. It certainly is. And, our kids were tough and persevered, so it was a good run.
All right, you won a title in your first year. I just had Chad Mahaffey on, who has 4 undefeated seasons, literally regular seasons, that is, in his first 8 years of coaching. He's got 2 titles. He's got a state runner-up. You guys up there are doing something right. You get your first year of head coaching at Catholic. I mean, you were a 2 or 3 year coach, I believe, at St. Stanislaus.
Correct.
Then you came over and joined Dale Weiner's staff. Dale's a legend, 40 years in the business as a head coach, 30 at Catholic High, and you won a state title as an offensive coordinator. And by the way, Dale Weiner has never had an offensive coordinator until this man showed up on campus, Gabe Fertitta, and he was the first one. So you learned under the legend. You won a title as an OC, then you won another one. What's this whirlwind been like for you?
It's been pretty interesting, talking about Coach Weiner. I mean, his you kind of look at coaches and you look at their wins and their legacy and all that, and then you look at kind of their coaching tree. Brewerton at Zachary, he played at Catholic under Coach Weiner.
Wow.
Mahaffey at U-High, he played at Catholic under Coach Weiner.
These are all state champions.
Yeah, and then me, I didn't play there, but I certainly coached under him and just learned a tremendous amount about football, but I would say that's secondary to just about the way you treat kids, the way you coach kids, the ministry of coaching, and his legacy is pretty intense. So to come into the program and do the program right by him meant a lot to me this year. So it's been a little bit of a whirlwind.
I mean, Catholic, I believe, I could be wrong, wasn't that their first title in 2015?
It was first state
championship.
championship,
and then you win one your first year. That's more than doing the school proud. You did it right. But by the way, you coached another guy we know, Miles Brennan, who's a 2-time guest here, and I know he was only a freshman, but you took a team that was 0-9, and the very next year they went 10-0, which I guess was maybe some of the impetus to you getting over to Catholic, because they're both schools under the Sacred Heart.
Correct.
Christian Brothers?
Correct. Brothers of the Sacred Heart.
Brothers of the Sacred Heart, right.
That's right.
But what was that like, coaching Miles? Because, I mean, you said earlier, you saw that even in 7th, 8th, 9th grade that this guy was going to be a future star. What did you see?
He was. You know, I had him in 7th grade English. I was his English teacher in 7th grade. And you could just tell that he had a personality that he was going to work hard. Even at that young age, he could hold a conversation with adults and not even bat an eye. And then it didn't hurt that he was extremely talented. His older brother was our starting quarterback my first year.
Okay.
And he was a phenomenal athlete. And you could watch Miles throwing the ball back in 7th grade, and just you could see that this kid had a lot of talent. And to watch him grow up and mature in the weight room and the off season and film study and all that, it really was. It was really inspiring to watch it. And he's just a great kid. He's a real genuine kid. Coach Cameron, who his son, Cam Cameron's son, played for us.
Catholic, right.
So he was going to recruit Miles, and he texted me and said, what's this kid like? And I said, look, do not let this blonde-headed surfer boy look fool you. He is a tough, hard-nosed country boy kid. He likes to hunt and fish and loves his mama and daddy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he
he's
does.
He's like your All-American.
For those of you that don't know, he is the future LSU quarterback, just in case you've been living under a rock. That's who we're talking about. We didn't put any picks up because I didn't plan to go that direction. However, let's talk about this team.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you have to feel great about, because a lot of these schools will have several D1 players. Your team is pretty much just a team. I mean, you have a bunch of great football players, but no superstars.
Yeah, I mean, my years as offense coordinator, we had Darius Geist to hand the ball off to.
That's a superstar, by the way.
We had Clyde Edwards-Helaire to hand the ball off to.
Another superstar.
And, this year, we have some really, really good football players. They're really tough. They're gritty. They love the game. They practice just as hard as they play. And, it really is rewarding to watch those kids just completely buy into a program and a philosophy of we're going to do things and just work hard and do it without the glitz and the glamour and just kind of get our hands dirty. And I think our coaching staff did a great job of instilling that mindset in those kids. And then when you get into those games with the Evangels and the Curtises and all that, you tell those guys, look, you're not playing those teams' traditions. Those guys that played for them, they can't play anymore. You got to beat them one time. And our kids believed in that. They bought into it. And it really is special to have a group of kids come together like that. And we have some good players that are going to play, college football. But what a team effort.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Geist a second ago. Darius Geist, who I think is going to be a first-round draft pick. He's a phenomenal player. Then you had a great fullback in Ben Miles the following year, who actually I called a game in Nebraska this year with his dad. I didn't call it. I was one of the producers. And Les is already calling Nebraska we during the game. We. I'm like, Les, you can't say we. I mean, this is a national game.
Yeah.
But you've had some great players go through there. What made this particular squad not just so special, but gave them the extra punch to get through teams like Evangel and John Curtis in the semis and finals?
I think our senior leadership. I mean, it's not often when things are going really well. We were towards the end of the season. We had picked up some steam. We had some good games early, and we lost some games early that kind of shook us a little bit. I mean, we beat Zachary early in the year. We beat St. Thomas More. They hadn't allowed a point all year when they played us. They had shut everybody out.
Crazy, huh?
And so things were going well, and one of the seniors came up to me and said, Coach, we want to have a players-only meeting,
All right.
And so I said, all right, guys, go ahead. And this was leading into the playoffs. And I don't think there was anything wrong, but I think it was just kind of a chance for our senior leaders to kind of get the guys in the room and say, hey, here we go, guys. We're getting ready to make this run, and this is what it's going to take. And I think, we just have some really good kids. We got some kids that really like to work hard. And
let's take it through this, though, because we already talked a little bit about St. Aug, but you're going into the Evangel game. Not only do you have to play this team, you have to go all the way to Shreveport to do so. Take us through it and take through the pregame and through the game.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not a big stat guy, but after the game was over and we had won, somebody said that, they've only been beaten at their place twice in like the last 20 years.
Yes.
And the two teams
That's what I'm saying.
that did it were ours. And,
wow.
It's a tough place to go play. And of course, I mean, they have phenomenal players. They have great coaches. You talk about Pete Jenkins in the previous segment. Their head coach is a Pete Jenkins disciple.
Yes.
Played at LSU, Byron Dawson.
Yeah,
Great,
I know Byron.
great guy. But, you go up there, they got the flags in the end zone that have their national championship. They got state championship flags everywhere. They got
14 of them.
They got the midfield logo that goes from
it's
end zone
impressive.
to end zone.
It's daunting, too, if you haven't been before.
Yeah, and so we have this thing we call Cur Dog, and it's there's a gentleman that used to talk to our team, and we don't have enough time to even go into it, but he used to always say, no matter where you go, you're at home because the field is the same dimensions.
There you go.
Evangel's field was the same dimensions as our practice field is at Catholic, so you go there and you preach that to those kids, and sometimes kids buy into that, sometimes they don't, and ours did. So we didn't score an offensive touchdown. Their defense is incredible, unbelievable defense.
You had a blocked punt for a touchdown. Right there you see, obviously, number 10 had a big game, and he also had a pick six.
Correct.
I mean, that's amazing. Okay, that was remarkable enough, but then you're coming home. Then you're facing a guy that's been winning championships way before you were born, bro. I mean, John Curtis. You're facing J.T. Curtis.
Yeah.
Think about this, 26 state titles. And he's a little angry because he hadn't had one since 2013. And he wins them like we change underwear, for real.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to go down into the dome. And I know he was focused because I've seen him a few times before the season. He says, I got to get one this year. He didn't. Catholic took it. Talk about this game. Please tell me how you got this done.
Yeah, I mean, we had the 2 weeks to prepare, which when you get ready to play Curtis, one of the big things is preparing for the veer. It's totally different. So, you get the 2 weeks, you prepare for it, you get up there and you play against those guys, and just it was a phenomenal effort. It took all three phases. It took special teams, defense, and offense to come away with a win. And I joked with our kids, he's been there 36 times, and I'm only 35 years old.
That's crazy.
I said, look, y'all got the worst end of the deal when it came to the head coaches, but they laughed and had a great time playing it, and just, it was a team effort.
You got that one title, brother, and I can't be more happy for you and proud of what you've done and proud for Catholic, the Bears, and thank you for coming all the way down from Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me, and if you ever get down to New Orleans with your wife,
I do.
Please do. I know you're from New Orleans. You went to Holy Cross, a Catholic League guy. We have a lot of Catholic representation today with you and Tommy Clapp. But thank you so much. And that's a place called Chez de la Chaise. Enjoy it. And we're going to get you to sign a ball as I go to break because I got to get on out of here. Anyway, find me a spot down there.
Oh, yeah.
To get you. Coach Gabe Fertitta.
Appreciate it.
This man is 1 for 1. First year as head coach, he wins the state title. You're supposed to start slow and don't get the expectations too high. But I got to thank everybody. Hey, prayers real quick for Willie Rope, who's supposed to be on the show next week. He's got cellulitis, so say a prayer for him. He is stuck in Kansas City right now. He lives in California. But we're going to replace him with somebody great, too. So next week it's going to be fabulous. And each and every week it is fabulous because our great producer, Will Hill. Naila, man, she does so many jobs. I don't even know how she does them all. She's fantastic. Our new man, Alex, Peter Drennan. And who could forget the Redhead Tsunami? I want to thank everybody at CST and WLAE. It's been a great hour. We'll be seeing you next week right here on Primetime Sports.